So we are going to talk about The Business Made Simple book by Donald Miller. And we talked about it last month in our book club. Stephanie's with me today. We don't have Austin, but we are going to talk about implementing some stuff that we learned because that's something that we have decided, right, Stephanie, is that we need to start implementing books,
Yes,
just reading books.
because just reading is not the same as reading and taking action.
Yes.
Implementation. Maybe
Yes.
that should be my word for 2023. Implementation.
That's
I've
a
got a
good
couple.
word.
It is a
Yeah.
good word.
I like it. I like it. Okay, well, let's just jump into it. So,
Yeah, let's just talk about our notes
okay.
and
Yes. So
our
we both,
thoughts on this.
yeah, so we both did the daily videos that are free on his
Great.
website. And I also ended up buying his course as well because it's a year course and it's inexpensive,
It's
surprisingly.
insanely inexpensive.
It's insanely inexpensive. And I'm going to be honest with you, he does a fabulous job on the daily videos, right? But I went and did the mission statement part. The leadership course section is what I finished. And that was to get your mission statement. It's basically your guiding principles is that first leadership one. And his course goes into depth way more. He has more examples.
Really.
He breaks it down. So, like, here's an example of one of the worksheets he gives you. And so it breaks it down to help you break it up into, like, I was comparing just in the book alone on the leadership part, because he has it in there with the flower shop one. And this is actually his sister, and he talks about that one as well. So this is like, what day is this? He says it's day. That way we give days with it since he does.
Yeah, I forget that.
Day 11.
I've got it on Audible. I don't have the actual copy. So I've got to pull it up.
Yeah. So he talks about like the mission statement, writing a good mission statement. And he has a formula for it, which is it's a good formula, but he breaks it up even more into from his course. And I don't want to give away a lot in his course just because he's worked really hard for that course, right? But it's basically like he always says, like, there's a problem, you're going to make it kind of a little work, like, right? Like, you're going to make people really feel that they need a solution to this problem and you are the
Yeah.
solution. So you're like
Yeah.
basically telling them all that, but he does a fabulous job about breaking it up. And so the thing that I implemented or like started, and honestly, this is making me think about like my website and how to,
So many
talk
things.
about things differently. And okay, this is what we were talking about before we got on is this whole concept of talking about the problem and then like what's the solution and then telling them the solution. So like we were talking about it with social media posts, and this is how I want to start implementing it into my structure that I have for social media and start implementing his way of doing like regular other stuff, but like every single social media post there should be a problem that you're solving and you're telling like you're hooking them with the problem and then solving it for
Yeah.
them.
The other thing I like about what he talks about in his whole, his whole story brand thing is to make the like the reader of the story, so your clients or your students or whatever, make them the hero.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can, and you're the guide, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
they are the hero that will solve somebody else's problem, hopefully, right? Or help somebody else, I guess.
Yeah.
Provide a service or whatever. And we are the guide to help them find that path to get there. I'm sure I'm butchering the whole concept.
It sounds wonderful. I totally, and maybe I just know what you're talking
I
about.
know if you read the book or listen to the book or even his podcast, you get what I'm talking about. So highly recommend the podcast, too. We've got, like I said, you've got the actual book. I got it on Audible. Both versions were great. But yeah, being able to help solve people's problem is really awesome. And the whole idea of just like having a story, the thing that I've realized the more I've started talking about, like the work I do, the passion that I have for my work and kind of like my goals, my mission, which I didn't really, I haven't ever really put together an authentic mission statement. It's just like whatever comes to my mind at the time. But I found that the more I talk about it, the more clear my vision becomes. In fact, just yesterday, and this is one of the things I was going to talk to you about earlier, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a guy who's like, super pro sales and marketing guy. And, just telling him about my work, he, granted he's in sales and marketing, so he was able to extract things differently than maybe just a regular customer would. But, he just listened to the things that I said for like 5 minutes, and he's like, oh, easy. Here's your like overarching theme or message. And it was beautiful. It was brilliant. And I was like, blown away. And it was powerful because it was an emotional connection suddenly. And I know that Donald Miller talks a little bit about that with like the story brand stuff, like evoking emotion in our
So
audience.
that's what he tells with like the story pitch part of your guiding principles is it should evoke an emotion for people, right?
Right.
Because we're emotional people.
Right.
Like
Which
we're not
I
going to do
think,
something unless there's an emotion involved with
yeah.
it.
So like circling back just a little bit to the whole like social media or strategy and stuff for connecting and building our community we were talking about. We want to build this community and we want to have this connection with them, on a deeper, level, not just a surface level. We want to have some sort of deeper connection. Whatever that looks like for each of us, it's kind of, different, but the same, we all want to find our community that we can connect with that has similar values, similar morals, similar goals, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, Stephanie, I want to hear your take on I have two of my guiding principles because I have two websites.
Nice.
And so I did a mission statement, the
For both of
characteristics
them.
for both of them. And so I wanted to hear what you think because
Okay.
this is like my implementation.
This is like
So
totally on the spot here, right?
yeah. Well, and I'm going to say too, like I also tried, after reading it, like certain things now are the way that you think about things are slightly different after reading this book. So for example, I put together a sales page the other day and I was more thinking of like you were saying, the customer's the hero. What's their problem? How am I helping solve that problem for
because
them?
you were looking at it through this different lens, through this like Donald Miller lens, rather than the way you might have done it, a month ago or something.
Well, and it's even like how other people teach you to do it. Like
right.
They teach you just to like almost show like all the fluff with it, where
like to flex a little. Right?
Yeah, where like people don't necessarily want that. They want,
Are we all like, just tired of the sales page already?
Yeah, like like when you read some of those sell pages and you're like, they're gonna like, where's the price? Like, what do I have to do? Like, tell me what I need to do, right? That's what he's all about too, is like just making it easy for people.
Yes.
So,
yeah. I watched a painful sales video today.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so that's
fast forward or pause button.
Okay, let's talk about that too. Like interesting enough, okay. He talks about inside the book about doing presentations in front of an audience, right?
Oh, good. Okay,
and
I need that.
I will not say who this was, but my kids, there was an author in town with a book signing, but before he presented. And so we went to this because they love this author. Oh my gosh, it was so painful. It was so painful sitting there listening. Just, it was all about him. And it was really interesting because I probably wouldn't have thought a whole lot about it if I hadn't read this book.
We're getting ruined.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there like listening to him. I'm like, well, why does that matter to me? Like, why do I need to know about this? Like, this has nothing to do with like whatever you're trying to tell us. And so interesting enough, though, I had a conversation with my kids on the way back home, and my kids are 13 and 10. And I said, what did you think of it? And they're like, it was boring. They were like, it wasn't what we were expecting. And I asked, well, what were you hoping from it? And they were hoping to be shown a solution. They wanted to know how he came up with writing his books. They
Oh,
wanted to know
interesting.
details rather than all about him. So, what does that tell us about ourselves? And that's exactly what Donald Miller said about presentation, like presenting. Don't share the fluff, like get into the beginning, like, here's about me, right? Like, he basically says, you start with your story pitch, which is all about the people, and then you get into your content, like get into whatever you're presenting, because it really only gives like a little snippet about yourself, because people don't really care about that. They're there for a solution. And so,
Unless you are some sort of comedian or entertainer,
oh, yes,
you know how to weave a good story and spin a good
but
tale.
it's a story, right? Like that's what you're there for. That's
exactly.
what you're there for.
Unless you can turn it into this awesome story of some sort. Yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah, it's just interesting though. Like now that I'm sitting down and like in taking in things and thinking about them slightly different, I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I was doing that before, but now I see the downside in that. But yeah, just a side note, because that was something that happened this last week.
That's super fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have thought any different.
Okay,
Probably.
so tell me what your two, what does he call them? Because
okay, so the guiding principles, I did
principles.
mine in my own little PDF doc and I printed it. So I'm going to do the 2 feet first entrepreneur guiding principles. So there's the mission
the same
statement.
thing as core values, or
So he talks about core values and why he thinks they're important, but they're not telling people what to do. And this guiding principles is more for your workforce or for yourself to guide you how to interact with customers, guide you on what content to put out. It's just guiding you how to be the best.
Yeah, every business should have that, right?
Yes.
Holy cow. Okay, go.
Yeah. So the first part of it, so there's 5 parts. I'll tell you there's 5 parts. There's the mission statement, key characteristics, critical actions, your story pitch, and your theme.
Which, by the way, I'm just going to mention here, those are all, I think so.
Yeah, he had it like in
the characteristics, critical actions, tell a great story, and your why, basically theme and why. So those are all just for your audience. If they're looking on Donald Miller's page or they've signed up for the dailies, those are in the leadership section.
Yes. So this is the leadership section, because that's really what I started with, because we've only had 30 days to implement, right? So yeah. So my mission statement with it is, if content creating entrepreneurs don't increase their productivity, they will never have enough time. 2 feet first entrepreneur creates online content and courses you need to gain back time so you can grow your business.
Okay, cool. So I want to just ask a quick question, because I was working on my strategic plan right before this, and I was at the section for my elevator pitch.
Okay.
And I feel like an elevator pitch is very similar to a mission statement. A mission statement, I think, can be a little bit longer. And I'm not a pro or any sort of expert on mission statements or elevator pitches or anything marketing like that. But that's kind of how my simple brain categorizes them, where it's just like a mission statement can be a little bit more robust. Elevator pitch is a little bit more concise. So I'm going to put you on the spot for a second and have you transform that mission statement into a quick elevator pitch.
So that's my theme.
Oh, okay. So that's
essentially would be my theme, because it's so short. And my theme is, if entrepreneurs increase productivity, they will enhance their life in business. That's what my whole business is about, is helping entrepreneurs increase productivity so they will enhance their life and business.
Okay. How will they? I'm going to challenge you here a little bit, because I just got a sales page audit done, last week. So how will, what does an enhanced life and business look like for you, or for maybe some, what can you envision your ICA, what their life looks like in this enhanced state of being?
Okay. Cause that would be more in depth on a sales page, right?
Yes.
Or on your website. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Like pain points and stuff that will be eradicated or whatever.
Yeah. So for an enhanced business would be they're not trying to juggle everything themselves. They're not, they have some automation set up so that things are done in the background for them. They also have workflows in place, so there's no questioning where they're at inside of a process. They have like a ClickUp, so a project management tool set up that they can
I just
actually
add a few things?
Yeah.
They don't get distracted
Yes.
easily. Like
Yes.
me. They don't get lost in the weeds of what they're doing, whatever. And they don't
Well,
have to
and
do
I will say
repeatable
this.
tasks
Yes.
because
I
those
will
are
say
automated.
I will say this, productivity is a learning thing, and it doesn't mean like I'm a pro at it every day. So that's something else that we all have to accept is there are days that aren't going to be as productive as you wish them to be. But if you're striving and setting up things to make it be more productive, like you'd be surprised. Like, I mean, you've told me many times, like when we get together on our last retreat and you were, well, I just saw you spin circles around me and my team. And it's because I have things set up in my business to help me get through things faster.
Yeah. So I know we're a little bit on a tangent here, but I want to run with it for just a second. Okay. So the thing, like I did make that comment to you once where it was like you were more productive than me and a team of with a team of 3 other people helping me. And I just want to say here that the thing that I've learned from working with you and, collaborating with you and stuff is that by investing the time and the effort up front, it might feel painful and difficult. And I'm saying this even though I haven't reached any sort of milestone yet, but I see what it can do based on what I've seen you do. And it is worth the time investment because it can save you money and time in the future. So it's really an investment in yourself and in your business. And it's something that I wish I would have either been shown how to do earlier on in my business or been told like what the repercussions were and really believed it. Every time people say, oh, like I had this rough year or this setback, or, I got so busy that I was working late nights and weekends and stuff. And I'm like, I always think that won't ever happen to me. And it does. It does. It will catch up with you. So I just want your listeners to hear that.
Yeah. And so I think, well, my mission statement's pretty small. So I would probably, that's where I'd probably, because you were asking about what was it called?
I called it an elevator pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of think of my mission statement as the elevator pitch to like get people interested in it. Because I feel like Donald Miller's mission statement slightly different than most mission statements that you normally hear.
Describes it.
Yeah. So it's slightly different. So it's like a mix between those two almost.
Cool.
So that's why I'm like, the theme is like my overarching, because that's the problem too. This is for me, like my guiding principles or anyone that I hire this is gonna be more for me and how we work. So it's hard to like.
Okay. And yeah, that makes sense because that's the mission statement is more about your internal team and an elevator pitch is more about the external.
Yes. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. So that's why I was like, it's kind of like I don't have my elevator pitch would be a shortened mission statement probably.
Yeah. But it's the audience the difference in the audience receiving it is how you would write it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm like, I need to look into that a little bit more and add that to this because that would be a good thing to probably add to it. Because my story pitch, for example, because I guess that's kind of like it, but it's a little longer. So it's many content creating entrepreneurs are struggling to manage it all. If they don't increase their productivity, they will never have enough time. Our online content, that's mine. Our online content and courses teach skills every entrepreneur needs to gain back time, allowing them to focus on the essential tasks to grow their business. 2 Feet First Entrepreneur exists because entrepreneurs deserve simple and effective ways to enhance their business and life. So again, I use enhance because the reason why I use enhance because it can mean something different to everyone.
Right. Yeah.
What they dream. Like that's the biggest thing. That's why I've been using enhance is that my enhance might be slightly different than your enhance.
Well, and every
so,
team member that you bring on can bring a different perspective as well to that word.
Yeah.
So it can hopefully be, quite all encompassing.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I could use a different word to make it more like a vision, right? That I'm going to write that down. Cause see, this is why I'm asking you your opinion on it. So
I'm no expert.
give it a vision. So, or a picture, like allow them to picture what.
Yeah, which I think actually Donald Miller would support that.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Because
see, and this is why I'm asking you. I'm like,
story,
Stephanie,
right? Yeah.
Honest feedback here, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, again,
I'm gonna write that
I'm
down.
coming at it with this perspective of having, somebody review my sales page and what the messaging is on it and getting really brutal, sometimes painful and hard to hear feedback, but so true. And then also, like I said, just working on my strategic plan, my first like robust, I've done like bits and pieces of a strategic plan in the past, but this one I'm trying to have it be a lot more comprehensive. And so I'm just coming at it from those angles too.
Yeah, which is
top
great.
of mind for me.
Yeah, which is great. So I have a question then for you. Well, I want to read you my first one, my home website. I want to hear what you think of my mission statement and the other things. So the mission statement is an outdated home is unappealing to homeowners. 2 Feet First shares do-it-yourself resources so homeowners can transform their homes into something they love. What do you think of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I am a little bit of a word nerd, meaning that like I'm always and this is why it takes me so long to do things and sometimes so long to spit things out, let's be honest. But I'm just always looking for like what's a more descriptive word. So go back to the beginning of it and read the part about the outdated home for me.
Okay. An outdated home is unappealing to homeowners.
Okay. So I think that could be a little bit more descriptive, meaning like an outdated home, because this is where I come at it. I'm so passionate. I design floor plans and I believe that our homes really have this like subconscious effect on us. And we don't really know how much our environment affects us. Like if there's clutter all around you, maybe like you feel distracted all the time. Maybe that's why I don't get so much work done. I need to redo my office. But anyway, so case in point right there, right? But our environments really have an effect on us, either for the positive or for the negative. So can we come up with a really clear like descriptor word, like outdated homes, like detract from our quality of life or exhaust us at the end of the day because there's always maintenance to do on them or whatever, you know what I mean? Like can we get a little bit more?
Okay, so you're going into the story pitch.
I'm doing it again, huh? Okay.
Yeah, but I like your exhausted word, so we might have to tweak this one a little bit.
Okay.
I'll let you go because it's all relevant because it's true. Like you're like, I want to know more, right?
Yeah, totally.
Give me more, right? So here's what my story pitch is, and then let's build upon this because this is actually what you'd pitch to people to come to you more so, right? So this is many homeowners' homes are outdated and unappealing, making them embarrassed and disgusted with their homes.
There we go. Did
I get it?
Yeah. Yes. Embarrassed, disgusted, exhausted, overwhelmed. Like those are all really good words. And you could just go to Word Hippo and search up all the synonyms for those kinds of feelings.
Yeah. So this is interesting though, because for example, Donald Miller did, I don't remember what episode it was on his podcast, where he went through and critiqued somebody's that went through his course or his book and critiqued their guiding principles. And he said, sometimes you can add too much.
Oh, and that would totally be me.
So, yeah. And so that's why I was
100%.
like, we have to say that too. Like, if you just get like, so that's the thing. Me saying those 2 words gave you all of those other words. With
Yeah.
me only saying 2. So,
Yeah.
like, that's something else we have to
Okay,
remember
that's
is,
perfect.
less is more in a sense.
Man, I really have to remember that a lot because you know me, I can give like 10-minute answers to a short question.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I can go on and on thinking I need to keep talking, but
It's okay. I just had to bring that up because,
I love that.
as we are doing this, like, it's really hard not to keep adding stuff because that's what I was like. I had embarrassed in there and I was like, or not embarrassed. I had overwhelmed in there and I was like, but do I need it? Do I need it? Or do I hit the point?
Can it be kind of implied and can people come
Yes.
up with their own words
Yes.
in their
Right?
mind?
Like,
Yeah.
am I giving them what they need to have the problem, right? Like expanded.
Yeah.
So like, let me read that one again. So many homeowners' homes are outdated and unappealing, making them embarrassed and disgusted with their home. Our online content gives homeowners the resources to transform their home into something they love and want to show off. 2 Feet First exists because every homeowner deserves a home they love.
Yeah. Okay, and I know I'm doing this again. I'm adding to it, but I don't necessarily want to add, but and this word isn't the best word, but proud. Like I think that a lot of those homeowners, wait, what were the words? Because embarrassed was one of them, but that's not the one that you chose to.
So embarrassed and disgusted.
Okay, so you did use embarrassed and disgusted. And then what are the opposites that you use?
So all I did was to
That they
transform
love.
something that they love and want to show off. And I was
Okay.
trying to decide.
And want to show off is the same thing as what I was thinking with proud.
Well, and I was going to say like that you're proud of, or like that I had all those words in there and I was like, does show off does that give you exactly what you need to like fill all that, right? Like, what's the word to make you feel all of that?
I don't know, because I think that the caveat in yours is just that it's not just about, putting lipstick on a pig. You've heard that phrase before. It's not just about like, refreshing the home, but it's also about like when homeowners do these things themselves, then there is that sense of like accomplishment.
Pride in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I was like, how do you phrase that with like, so something that they love and want to show, like something that they're proud of and want to show off? Like, do I put proud instead of love and then just have love at the end? So like right now I have, or let's switch it and then I'll do both. Okay. So our online content gives homeowners the resources to transform their home into something they're proud of and want to show off. 2 Feet First exists because every homeowner deserves a home they love. Or this is what I have written. Our online content gives homeowners the resources to transform their home into something they love and want to show off. 2 Feet First exists because every homeowner deserves a home they love.
Well, in your original one, you used love twice. Okay, so I would take out one of the love.
Take it and do proud, right? Something they're proud of. Okay, that's what I was thinking too. If I can spell on my paper. Okay. Proud of. Because that was like, or I don't even know if I need to put like the accomplishment, like, because there is like, it is amazing when you do a project yourself, you'll sit down and like, you have like this overwhelming joy of being like, you did that. You are the one that accomplished that. And I don't know how to portray that the best without like going into like so much detail. Yeah. I don't know. You can be proud of a transformation and someone else did it. So how do you, how do you share that?
That's I don't know. Cause I feel like that opens up a whole can of worms.
It does, right? And it can just keep going. So I don't know if that's where you leave it.
Yeah, unless we can think of a really concise way to say like, that they've they've also gained new skills along the way or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While gaining new skills along the way.
Yeah. But then you're just adding more, like, where do you end? Where do
I
you
know.
end this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the problem. It's like you can add, you can keep adding, but does it get the message across? Like, I think
Yeah.
that's
Well, and I mean,
the
you're not
takeaway.
promising that they're going to feel that way.
No.
Really. Like so it's really not part of your mission statement. Like your goal isn't to help people feel a sense of accomplishment. That's a byproduct, probably.
Well, and that's the other thing.
Right?
That's something I can't guarantee.
Exactly.
So it's something that I don't want to guarantee either, because I
And
can't guarantee it.
you don't want to like, drive your whole business around that idea because it's something that you can't control, as well
Yeah.
as, a deliverable, like, providing people with the plans to create a planner box. Like you can definitely deliver on that. And of course, they still have to do the work to build that planner box. But those are the things that you can deliver. So yeah, I think you just stick with that. And we just all know that that's a byproduct. And it's great.
Okay, well, there you go. Those are mine. So that's what I really worked on to implement. And
yeah, you're further ahead than me for sure. I'm gonna sneeze here in just a second.
Okay, well, I'm excited to hear it. So
I got through most of the first section on character.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love. It was so crazy as I worked through those character lessons. It was really ironic because in my early years of entrepreneurship, probably even just in year one of entrepreneurship, I had just come from, a corporate job that had a semi-toxic environment. And we all know, we've all been there, right? In kind of toxic work environments. And this toxic environment was produced primarily by one person. And so as I started my entrepreneurial journey, I was so focused and passionate about, not that I planned on having this big team or anything, but I just wanted to be able to, even just with my interactions with my clients, have a really, really positive impact in the lives of other people. I wanted to have really good interactions with them, like come away from that experience being better for it, them being better for it, like this mutually beneficial experience. And so as he goes through all of these things, like even just day one, he talks about how to be a value-driven professional, I think is the phrase that he uses, right?
Yeah.
And I had always, this is a term that I hadn't come up with that exact term, but I had, as I was starting to like outsource, and hire assistants and independent contractors and different things like that, I was always looking for somebody who had what I called the entrepreneur mindset, or the self-employed mindset, kind of this person who was always looking for a way to, level up, be better, work hard, not have any of these like crazy expectations, like the list goes on and on. And so I just like right out of the gate, I was just super impressed with even that concept, because I was just like, he describes it so, so well. And then as he works through all of the other character traits about like not being a victim, not escalating drama, accepting feedback as a gift. Who does that? Sorry.
And it's hard. It's hard to hear critiques, right?
It's super hard. And knowing the right way to handle difficult situations, engage in conflict. So like all of these things were, like I said, very fascinating to me, because I didn't have words for them, but every single one of them was a very deliberate strategy that I had implemented as an entrepreneur. And I was like, so excited, because I finally had language around it, and I've tried to explain this to my students too, some of these attributes and character traits and stuff. And I didn't have the right language, I couldn't really explain it very well. And he does such a brilliant job. of being able to explain all of these character traits. And hands down, if I could hire people who had these character traits, I would probably be happy to go back to having payrolled employees. But like without them, I would rather I would rather not. So I think that you can't work too hard to be that value-driven professional, because it will benefit you whether you are an employee or self-employed, in any stage of the game. And I was just taking copious notes as I was listening to his videos about all of that. Like,
and they're short videos. I'm going to mention that. Like,
yes,
they're super short videos. Like
7,
max is like 10, right?
yeah,
like
5 to 10 minutes, I think,
easy
on all
video
of them.
to get through every day. Like, I wanted to mention that because sometimes when you're like, oh, a video every day, like you're used to like 20-30 minute videos.
Yeah.
No, these are like 5 minute.
I did the first 5
clips.
in like an hour and a half. But that was because I was taking notes. So I was pausing, writing. Like, I mean, if you were just listening straight through them, you could listen to the first section. I mean, obviously, I listened to 5 at once because I let my library build up. You get 1 a day unlocked. So if you sign up, you only have access to 1 each day.
Well, there is a button to allow you to get all of them at once too.
What?
Yeah, there is. Did you not see that?
No.
Yeah, it's at the top somewhere. I'd have to show you.
I am looking at it right now.
Yeah, there's like a button that says unlock all videos now or something like that at the very top. And I think it's underneath. I'm trying to think of where it's underneath something. It's closer to the top area, but it's there. You can unlock everything at once. I never clicked it because I decided I wanted them dripped. I wanted the full experience. So,
and it's not that painful, right? Because
no,
we
it's
get so
not painful.
busy,
Yeah,
that we honestly, like, I am trying harder and harder to block my time. So I'm not going to take a break from my work to listen to a 5-minute video. But I will block time.
Yeah. And that's how I did it too. I'm like, my Mondays are my time, right? So I sit down and listen to all of them that I've missed for that week, and then do what I need to do and then go to the next one. So
yeah. And they're super engaging, very well done. Not fancy.
No.
They're not fancy, but Donald Miller is a pro at what he does. He knows his business really well. And he delivers the content in a very clear and easy to digest way. So some of the thoughts that I had, I made some of like my own thoughts on the side. Let me just see. Oh, like when you can see yourself as a hero / guide, not the victim or the villain. I know you and I talked about this whole idea once, the mediocre mentality or the middle class mentality, where even though, many people could say that we live a life of privilege or whatever, and still we can hold ourselves back from greater things. And that's something that if there was like one message I could leave with my children, for example, it is that you don't need to like kind of fall victim, we'll use that word, to anybody else's prescribed idea for who you can be or what you can accomplish. Not society, not anybody else, and that's, to me, the core of what Donald Miller is really saying, is that like rise above all of that and become the valued asset that you can be, whatever that looks like to you. But make sure that you're not holding yourself back.
Yeah. I love that you say that you are a valued asset. Like, I don't think a lot of us think of ourselves as an asset.
Right.
So I love that you say that we're an asset, right? You yourself are an asset in your business or in anyone else's business for that matter.
Well, it's interesting because, like I said, coming from corporate, my corporate job, I thought I was an asset. And so always be reflecting on what it actually means to be an asset. And
Yeah.
that's why I called it the like entrepreneurial mindset, was because once I became self-employed, I looked at trainings differently. I looked at, you know, the experience that I offered my clients differently, because everything I did had an impact on the bottom line.
Yeah. So as we're
And
talking,
that really impacted me. I still got a paycheck no matter what I did.
yeah. So that's
Right.
interesting.
Matter.
Right. So like as you're talking about this makes me think his guiding principles again, coming back to them. The key characteristics, because we didn't go over those at all, but that is basically what assets you're looking, like what asset are you looking for in people when you're hiring them?
Totally.
And it tells people what asset they need to be for the company.
Right.
And the way that he says it is they're this asset. So like whatever's on here will allow them to get a raise, will allow them to move up in management. Like you're basically spelling it out
Yes.
to them
Yes.
of what, like this is the asset I want you to be.
Yeah.
And if you do this,
Yeah.
then guess what? That's when you get, and it's also the critical action. So it's like those two hand in hand make you the valued asset.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I love that you brought it up because it like it all ties back together.
It
So.
totally does. And so like before I had Donald Miller speak, I was actually talking with a friend of mine about this whole concept of this, self-employed kind of mindset.
Mhm.
And I was explaining it to him how even as an employee, you can have this type of mindset and it can be a benefit to you and to your employer. And he was like so confused. And I said, listen, like if you can go to your employer, because I worked I worked for somebody else for over a decade before I got my first raise that I asked for that sucked. It was like the most insulting raise I
Yeah.
ever got. Um, but I realized that it's not their fault. It was my fault. Now looking back, because I couldn't have come to them and quantifiably said, here is how I have been a benefit to your business, to your overarching goals, to, the bottom line in the business. I couldn't put together numbers or statistics on how my work actually added value in that
Well,
business.
and in that sense too, did you know what their values were? Did you know what you should be doing?
I
So,
knew what their like goals were and stuff, but does that mean that I subscribe to them?
well, that's essentially
No.
what this guiding principles is like giving your people like here's your checklist, your guide, your, like here's what we kind of expect, and you should be able to do everything from
So,
this little
so
paper.
right. So the only fault that I can say that my employer had was not getting buy-in. Like
Mhm.
they had their goals and they just kind of spewed it out to us
Yeah.
and didn't look for buy-in
Yeah.
from their people. They just kind of expected our goals are your goals.
Yeah.
And like the problem was is that we couldn't see any trickle down effect. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
they made more money, but did I?
Yeah, you didn't get the benefit from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everyone was being rewarded for their.
Whatever the benefit might be, like for me, monetary compensation or whatever, like I knew I had other benefits that were kind of like not spelled out. But anyway, at the end of the day, like now looking back in reflection, hindsight tells me that I was not that value added employee because I didn't buy into their goals. I didn't, I was always looking for what they could give me
Mhm.
instead of what I could give them to further their mission and their, objectives.
So I'm going to pause you right there. I know that you probably keep going, but I love that you say that because we're people sharing to other people online. We're trying to help other people. So how can we help them buy into what they like what you're providing to them almost? Does that make sense? Like you can almost flip that
Yeah.
switch as well. And how do you help? we talked about hero. How do we help them become their own hero in the story?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Keep
Because
going with that.
I'm just thinking like if we switch the way we think about things, because you're sitting here like, okay, in my business, I have bought into it. I am driven. I'm all about the learning. How do we get our customers to want us to be that guide that they're buying into what we're giving them? Because like here we are talking about Donald Miller. We've bought into what he's giving us.
Right.
How do we get our audience to buy in to what we're providing and make them the hero based off of what we're providing to them?
Yeah, that's the mystery actually that I am right in the thick of right now. So I don't have a solution yet. I'm working on that for myself. Because ultimately I have to remind myself regularly, like, why did I even bother? Like, I know why I design floor plans for people. That's easy, right?
Mhm.
Because not just anybody can do that. And I'm super passionate about providing a really good experience and end product and experience for the builders as well. So it's like I have all these reasons, and I could talk for days on that. But why did I decide to create a course to teach other people how to do the same kind of work? And ultimately, I have to remind myself all the time that it has brought so much joy into my life. I feel so useful in being able to help other people. I want other people to have that same experience. I want them to be able to break out of that mindless, like just an employee kind of feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and get to that place where they feel like they are contributing, adding value in the world, like, you know, creating this goodness and this happy experience for people. I'm like Joy in the movie Inside Out. I just want everybody to be happy and have all these great experiences. I'm a little altruistic.
That's okay. That's okay. But we've taken up a lot of time. So I think we'll end it here because there's so much more that we can
Yeah,
go
we just talked
into.
about the first two
I
sections.
know, right? Like that's just like a little section. And the book isn't even that thick.
It's
That's
an
how
easy
much,
read.
yeah, easy read. That's how easy it is to consume and how much you can take from this little portion. And he provides you even more with these free videos. So
Yeah. And then
yes.
even more if you buy the course.
Yeah, even more if you buy the course. And he even admits it's not that expensive because he wants people to learn it. Like,
Yeah, like
and I love that. If it's
what's his mission statement or whatever? Like there's a catchphrase that he uses about like
I
getting an MBA without the MBA price or something like that.
yeah, he always says that and stuff. I have his mission statement here because he gives it as an example
I'm pretty sure.
somewhere here. Let me see if I can find
I
it.
love that he
Um,
like I know that his
so
goal
this is
is
what he says.
okay.
Um, this is his mission statement. If people don't develop themselves, their career suffers. Business Made Simple creates the online business courses you need to thrive because every human being deserves a chance to succeed. And he also says down below in his story pitch, it's when like people stop learning, they'll stop, but he always says to, and it's not in here about like he always says that they built it because the business school didn't provide all the
Yes.
resources you need. And
Yes.
so that's why he created the course. That's why he does the books, because he wants everyone to gain the knowledge that you actually get by doing. And I hear this so many times with universities. Sometimes some of the stuff you almost have to get into it to actually
Yeah.
take what
Well,
you need.
I will
Sometimes
say
it's
that
fluff
I've
at
I've
school,
thought
but
about getting an MBA or some sort of master's degree, and sometimes I think just the School of Hard Knocks is as educational
yes,
as
yes.
going to college.
Uh, okay, well, let's end here because yeah, I am so happy that we got this chance to talk about it a little bit more and start implementing it.
Oh
Our
yeah.
next book that we're going to read is Leadership and Self-Deception.
Mm,
So stay tuned for that for
mm.
next month.
It's so
And
good.
and we will be back with that one.